Good morning, Beachbody coaches. I'm super excited to be here today. And we have a special guest who's going to be joining us to share kind of her success story with finding Beachbody. And I'm super excited to introduce to you Kyra Carlen, who is a first-time elite team. And she's here to talk to us kind of a little bit about her journey with Beachbody. So welcome, Kyra. Are you there?
Hello. Oh,
Hi.
hi. I'm so excited. Like literally so excited for this.
Me too. Can you kind of just introduce yourself a little bit and kind of tell us kind of what you were doing prior to finding Beachbody, how your life was, and then kind of what happened once you discovered Beachbody?
Absolutely. So my name is Kyra Carlen, and I am now a full-time stay-at-home coach at home with my children who go to school, which is wonderful. I actually started Beachbody in January 2016, and I have to tell you a little bit of backstory about that. It's funny thing is that I personally have struggled with my weight my entire life. So to give you to paint the picture is that I was in junior high and I was 14 years old and I was wearing plus size clothing, like size 16, size 18, all through high school. And I had always battled that. And that was one of the hardest parts, I feel like, growing up, was finding out who I was, because I was constantly focused on my weight. I remember asking my mom to bring my lunch specifically so that I didn't have to eat school lunches, because I was just so afraid that I was just going to gain more weight. And so that traveled through. And then I had my daughter whenever I was 20 years old. And I got told a lot like, oh, you lost your baby weight. But I was still 220 plus pounds. And it felt like everything that I could try, I was doing it. So I was searching Pinterest. I was doing random fad diets. I was cutting out food groups, just whatever you could think of. And I remember I was working as a part-time bartender, and my best friend, who actually she's my coach now, and her husband was on the fire department with my husband, and she was doing this 21-day challenge. And I decided to start doing the military diet. I don't know if you guys have ever even heard of it, but it is a crazy method of like grapefruit and a can of tuna and one hard-boiled egg for the day. Like, it is insane. And I went on day one, and I remember messaging her and asking her, like, would you do this with me? And she's like, I can't, I'm doing this 21-day challenge. And I was like, okay, good for you. Now I have to tell you, she has a completely different lifestyle than I do. Like, she has a completely different body build. She's like 5'2", 120 pounds maybe. And she lost 7 pounds her first 21 days. And I remember texting her and I was like, all right, I don't know what crazy thing you're doing, but I just need to know the details. Like, I guess I'll try it. It is what it is. But I told her, I'm not going to buy anything. I'm not going to do. And she's like, okay, you can be in my challenge group. But it was funny because I had purchased 21 Day Fix like a year or so before that and never even opened. I had an unopened bag of Shakeology, and I had my containers that had never even been out of the plastic along with the DVDs. So she let me in her challenge group, and it was kind of like, I saw these women showing up, and I saw them sharing their food. I saw them sharing like when they got their workout in. And I was working part-time, only like 5 or 6 hours a day. And it was kind of like, I saw these full-time moms who had full-time jobs and kids. And it was kind of like, if they can show up, why can't I? So I did my first challenge group with her, and I lost 13 pounds in the first 21 days. And I remember messaging her, and I was like, okay, it was beginner's luck. I don't know what this fluke was, but like, let's just go ahead and try it again. And she told me now, for the first time ever, she did a back-to-back boot camp, as in there was no downtime. There was no prep week. She just decided like, okay, she has momentum. I'm going to have her keep going. So fast forward on, I did 3 rounds of 21 Day Fix, literally in my bedroom with 7-pound dumbbells, and I lost 25 pounds. And it was kind of like that moment when I saw actual success that I was like, I honestly don't understand how this is working, because I have tried every program, every shake, every meal plan out there, but I don't care. I know that this is what I want, and I want to continue doing it. So I was like, okay, I finally bought a product from her, because I personally had been like, oh, I have this left over. Someone else was buying shakes online. Like, I was that challenger that we all say we're not going to let in our challenge group. I was her. I was buying stuff not through Beachbody. And so I was like, all right, I will go ahead and get started. So she got me set up, and I had told her, I'm like, I don't know what this discount is, but if it's going to save me some money, I guess I'll do it, but I'm not going to coach anybody. And she's like, okay, that's fine. So I got in there, but then I saw her like sharing her workouts, or I saw her sharing her shake and her food. And looking back now at how I started as a coach, I had to be that girl starting. I had to be the girl starting my workouts. I had to be the girl doing my sweaty selfies or my shake or my random food recipes, because it was the one thing that kind of gave me accountability. And so I was sharing on Instagram, and the thing is that growing up, I had been plus size, and I was friends with people who knew me. And then people who I was working with at the bar were very much like, you're not getting these free burgers that they're giving you. You're choosing a salad. You're bringing in your weird overnight oats. Like, what is it that you're doing? And it was just honestly word of mouth and sharing every day of, this is what I'm doing. I'm doing these shakes. I didn't hide. Like, curiosity marketing was not a thing that I did. It was more of like, I am drinking Shakeology. I am doing 21-day fix. And as much as we cringe at that now, because we know that curiosity marketing really builds a relationship more than letting people judge what it is that you're doing, I was that coach that found success by just being honest and sharing. And that has been the thing that's carried through with my business. So when I started, I had gone through from January through October. I just did 21-day fix on repeat, like in my bedroom every single day, no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And I had lost 70 pounds. And I remember like being in her challenge groups and just people being like, oh, you're doing a good job. You're doing a good job. I had some people randomly reaching out to me. I wasn't actively coaching. I was more of like hobby coaching. If someone asked, then I helped them, but I wasn't really out sending messages like crazy. I was just doing this for me, and I was sharing it every single day on social. And so when I got that 70-pound mark, my coach's coach actually did the Beachbody Classic the year before. And it was that crazy, insane, like I like to call it the Forrest Gump moment. Like, if I have done this much, like what else can I do? So I told my coach, I'm like, all right, I'm going to do the Beachbody Classic. And she had told me before, like she had thought of it, but I had shot her down instantly. And it was that feeling of like, if I can do this, what else can I do? So I decided to go all in at Classic, but that 100% was where my business changed, because I got really honed in on like what I was sharing. So people were super interested in like, what do you do to prepare for a bikini competition? But I was doing all at-home workouts. I started with hammer and chisel and then moved into Body Beast. And the fact that I was showing up every day and I was genuinely sharing like, these are the workouts I'm doing, this is what it is, I got like super serious with what I was doing. And in that meantime, I was still working at the bar, and I was just, it was an everyday thing that I was working, but it was random hours. I have kids at home. I have a 9-year-old, and then my husband has a 13 and an 18-year-old. At the time, they were like 11 and 15 or whatever. But I was missing out on times with them. So I prayed like every single day while I was at the bar, rolling silverware, sending messages, doing the things. I was like, I just need more income. I need something else. And I had a regular that was actually an attorney that was looking for a legal assistant. He needed a full-time job and full-time legal assistant all the time. And I was like, this is what I've been praying for. So I took my full-time legal assistant's job. In the meantime, still prepping for competition, still sharing. And what I found was that I had prayed for something that was steady and full-time. But once I got into that field, I was like, I'm still finding myself looking for more. Like I prayed for this opportunity, but it wasn't what I was needing. So I was sharing that I got up every single day, super early in the morning to do my workouts. It was almost like habit of, I have to share this on social. And if I didn't, I would get messages from people like, hey, did you work out? Like, are you okay? Is everything like, that's what I would get every single day, because I was consistently sharing on Instagram every single day. And at this time, I still was not super into other coaches. Like I didn't really understand rank or anything. I just knew that I needed to make this work. So whenever I was sharing every single day, all the time, I started getting more people being like, what are you doing? How can I do this? And I was getting insane results. So from there, I was doing hammer and chisel in Body Beast, and I was sharing my results. I had people that were like, I have seen you change from the inside out. I'm not sure what you're doing, but I want to do this with you. And I started getting more people signing up who wanted actual changes, and not just physical, but also financial. And I knew that in order to help them, I had to continue to do this myself. So I started like getting to the point where I'm like, I guess I'll host challenge groups. I like to tell my coach that I'm like, I felt like I was accidentally successful because I didn't have anything. This is exactly how you do it. There was no guidelines. It was more of like, what feels good to you? And I just genuinely wanted to help people because I had battled weight my entire life. And for the first time in my life, I had found something that helped me, not just physically, but also like emotionally, and the way that I acted with my kids and my husband, and the confidence that I had. And people who knew me in real life were also the kind that were like, you're different. I remember getting that message multiple times, like, you're a different person. And for me, I was glad, but it was because I knew how I acted before. I knew the kind of life that I was living, the kind of things that I would say to myself, the negative self-talk that I had. And it wasn't about my size. It was because I was genuinely not doing anything for myself. I was just showing up to make ends meet. I was showing up to help, others without putting anything into the effort for myself. And I just found that I needed somebody else's accountability to keep me on track, to know that they were watching, to know that I was doing a good job. So I did the classic in July in Summit. And I can tell you right now, that's where everything changed for me, because the prayer of having a full-time job, having a steady income, walking the stage, 97 pounds lost, it was amazing. But the experience that I had being there and seeing other people's transformation, seeing other people have the success that they had, seeing other people have the freedom, it truly planted that seed of, why not me? Like, why can I not share that way? Why can I not help people? Why can I not make that kind of income? Why can I not do this? And I came back from Summit and was just like, I thought I was all in before. I'm all in now. My goal is to help other people feel that way, not to make me more successful, not to make me more money, but I want to help other people do that. I want to help them feel that way. I want to help them feel the want to need to walk that stage. And since then, I have had 2 girls do it, and then I have 2 more who are doing it this next year. And it's the feeling of rinse, wash, and repeat with your story. So once I had gone through that and come back, it was the feeling of like, I'm sharing on social every day through Instagram stories. I am literally building a legitimate relationship with hundreds of people every single day without having to, what I feel like, put in any extra effort. So when you're watching my stories, when I'm sharing on there every single day, you know that I'm doing my workout, you know that I'm drinking my shake, you know that I'm eating pretty decently. And I share life struggles. I share my family life. I share how things are different now than then. I get on there and I just am myself with my story for multiple reasons. I want people to be able to picture themselves in my life. So if I'm sharing that I am a busy, stay-at-home mom and my husband's a firefighter, he also has a full-time job outside of the fire department, and he's gone a lot. If I only shared my health and fitness journey, then the people who are watching me could not put themselves in my shoes. So I go above and beyond to have the fitness be part of my story. So I share okay, I'm a fire chief's wife. I am home all the time, this much by myself. I do this by myself, but I still make time for me. I want to make it to where they can relate to so much more than just my story, than just my fitness. If I just showed up happy and healthy all the time, they could not relate to that because I was not that girl. I looked at other girls who showed up perfect and they were just so happy with their workout and so happy with their perfect body that it made me literally not relate to them. I'm like, well, good for you. But because I share the hot mess, because I share that my kids are crazy or my husband's gone or that my house drives me nuts. When I share that, I have women who I build relationships with because they're like, oh my gosh, me too. So what happens when I'm sharing that I didn't want to get up at 5 a.m., but I did anyway. I'm sharing that, the dishes drive me crazy or whatever. I have women who are like, that's exactly what I have going on in my life. How do you find time for this? And that truly is where I build my relationships with people who are like me, because I'm like, girl, I was you too. I get it. My life's not any less busy now, but I know I can handle it so much better because I take that time for me. And because I take that time, it is truly a ripple effect. Like the way that my life looks now versus before I started has nothing to do with my size. It's amazing that I have a 97-pound weight loss story, but like I also have a self-love story. I have a story about like my husband. He was not my husband when I started. He was my boyfriend. And he told me when he proposed to me, like I was at that point, I'm like, I don't know what's going on. But when he proposed to me, he literally said, it makes me want to cry every time, I have always loved you, but the happier you is easier to love. And I know that without Beachbody, without this, not even the physical side, but the mental side, the emotional side, I know that if I had not decided that I was done starting over, that I would not have this in my life and I wouldn't have the life that I have. And the kind of mom that I am, the kind of friend, the compassion that I have, I'm so much less selfish. And when I look back at the kind of things that would make me super upset, I wasn't ever worried about what they were saying about my body. I knew what size I was. I knew how much I weighed. I was thinking about, what do they think about me? Did they stop talking when I left? Do they not like who I am? And now I am the kind of person that's like, if you don't like me, it's okay, because there are a lot of other people who thoroughly enjoy that I'm a hot mess, who thoroughly enjoy that I love hair and makeup, that love that I cuss like a sailor on most days. I have learned that through all of this, it gave me the physical things that I wanted so badly, but the emotional thing that it gave me was self-acceptance and self-love. And for me, that's what I show up as every day. I show up and share that I want this for others. I show up that I want other people to feel good, not just look good. I want them to not have a crazy relationship with food, and I want them to want to help other people. So whenever I think about what my life was like before Beachbody, I said this to my coach the other day. I genuinely can't even picture it, because it felt like it was a completely different life, because I wasn't the same me as I was then, because I did not love myself like I do now. And I don't think that I could have ever learned that any other way.
Wow. That is an awesome story. Because it's so much more than the physical transformation that everybody can see the physical transformation, but what they don't understand is that all the other stuff that goes, the emotional part, the mental part, is so key in doing that. I wanted to go back for just a quick minute, because you mentioned in your story that you still had this full-time job when you were building your Beachbody business. What did that kind of look like? How did you, how were you able to see the success that you're seeing so that you could leave that business?
I really think it came down to the non-negotiable of like, my husband and I had a really hard talk of like, what is it going to take? Because working full time at a legal assistance job, people don't come to you in a good mood. And I knew that this was filling my cup. And I just said, like, I have to figure out something. So I couldn't just leave my job. We are not a single income household. We very much depend on both of our incomes. And so it was like, okay, what's it going to take? And for me, it looked like super early mornings of getting my workouts in, making my posts, getting everything set up for my challenge group so that they did not have to rely on me to get started. They knew that they could count on me, but not rely on me. And then genuinely every single lunch hour, I always had to go to the post office. I would work in the post office parking lot almost every single day. And for anybody who has followed me, the OGs in there, it was like I was in my car talking on my stories every single day about my challenge groups. Like I talked about my full-time job, but I really talked about the things that I was like leading. And I always told myself that old saying, like the boat goes where you look. It's like if you're going down this big river rapid and you're looking at this tree that's, sticking out and it's going to stop you. If you're always focusing on that, that's where you're going to go. So whenever I was out there, I was projecting the thought of what it's going to be like when I'm not here anymore. So working super early mornings, working during lunch hour, sending back messages. I had to walk to the courthouse. It was a 1-block walk. I would instantly open up my Instagram messages and reply back, thank people who were liking my stories or commenting on my post. It was building those small relationships. And I know those people who were watching and following me knew I had a full-time job, and they knew that I was putting in effort. So then it turned into like evenings. After I got my kids to bed, it was hosting team calls or just making graphics for my team or sending out more messages, getting people set up the way that I was. And I was making sure that I was being relatable to, I know you have a full-time job. I know you have stuff going on, but sister, you see me doing it. This is me telling you it's possible. So for me, it really came down to what's the non-negotiables that it's going to be. And it came down to connections. That's what I focus the absolute most on. And the only way to have a connection with people is by posting. Like, I cannot talk to you about what you don't see me doing. So I shared no matter what. And then it was the connections that I built with people who were constantly following me. The simple question of like, girl, I see you watching. What's holding you back? What's scaring you? Why not you? And this was after, they had told me about their kids and the things that they had done. It didn't feel weird asking them to do it with me because they already knew my life and I knew theirs.
Thank you so much. I just love hearing your story, because not only did you have this humongous weight loss, you were able to find a way to stay at home and provide for your family, but you're able to fill your own cup and then take that to fill other people's cups. And how important that is to take care of you first, that you neglected for, sounds like, your whole life. How awesome is it that you're just sharing this love and passion that you have, that you're just wanting to help people feel exactly what you're feeling. So what is kind of like, if you had one tip that you could leave our coaches here on the Champions page today, what is the one tip that you would give them?
I mean, the thing that really, I have a bracelet here that says it says, be you unapologetically. I think the only thing that I could share that is the best tip for you is tell your story. I don't care what Sally or Susie Joe down the street is doing, because those people can help other people. It's your job to truly share who you are, what you're going through, your struggles, your successes, like being yourself and sharing your story, because there are so many other women or men out there who are watching you that are stuck at your beginning. They're stuck thinking that they don't have another way to feel better. I never knew that I was supposed to be happy all the time. I joked about, I didn't know what seasonal depression was, because I genuinely I had that feeling all the time. So when people said they were seasonally depressed, I'm like, how does it get worse? But what I realized was that I was on the worst all the time. I didn't realize you were supposed to be feeling better during the other times. And I share that because I know that the other me, the old me, needed someone else to tell them that there is light somewhere else. You don't have to stay there stuck. So when you think that your story is not good enough, or it's not as extravagant, or it's not as good as anybody else, you need to realize, like, we all have the same 24 hours in the day. We all put our pants on the same, but only you can tell the story of how you got to where you were to where you are now. And it's your job to always be filling that gap so that someone else can cross that bridge with you.
Awesome. Thank you. Coaches, if you could take one thing away today, it is that your story is powerful. And like Kyra said, she was sharing long before her transformation was over. She is sharing long after her physical transformation is over. So please just find your voice and share your story, because there's somebody out there who needs whatever it is you have to share. Somebody who's on the same playing field as you, and they need to hear from you. So thank you so much, Kyra, for taking the time to chat with us today on the Champions page, and we'll see you guys all later.